and welcome to another edition of the UIS Prairie Stars Coaches Show on Campus Channel 65. I'm Tony Black. Joining me today is UIS volleyball coach Angie Riggle and Pete Kowall of the UIS women's soccer program. Angie, you guys had a pretty good fall season. Tell me about your thoughts on last fall.
I think we competed well with the teams, especially in our conference. We're just hoping to build on that, then hopefully pull away with a few more wins.
And Pete, you also starting in the GLVC this last fall. Tell me about your thoughts on the GLVC and your soccer team.
It's one of the toughest leagues in the country, hands down, and this was our second year. The first year, scores were lopsided and we were eventual losers in almost every game. This last fall, we had 6 one-goal loss games in the GLVC. We won our first games in the GLVC, scored our first goal. So a lot of things happened in a positive way for our team after that first initial year of what I would call shock and awe. So it was a fun year and record-breaking year for us, and we're just hoping to improve every year we're in this league.
And one of your team goals is to have a high GPA and finish high in the conference. How did that start?
That was one of the things the girls tried to. We talked a little bit about some of our team goals based on a couple criteria that we've talked about with them. And we were a little bit shy of our GPA goal last semester, but we're hoping to catch up with volleyball on team GPA. They always do well. And so they've sort of been our goal to catch them. And to beat them in the team GPA, but our players are really working hard in the classroom right now, and we it's student athlete, not athlete student. So our younger players have really embraced that idea. And
you have the highest GPA in the office. Talk about your volleyball program and their emphasis on education, or your emphasis on education.
I think I would just follow up with what Pete said, that for us, academics is number one, and it's something that even as they're recruited, that I make sure that the student athlete understands, their parents understand that academics is number one for us, and I think we put things in place to hopefully have all of our girls succeed in the classroom, and it's paid off the last couple of semesters that we do have mandatory study tables, and we hope that each semester the girls keep improving. We're not satisfied with where we're at. We're pleased, but each semester we want to do better than the previous.
And the AD honor roll, several of your girls were on the AD honor roll, which is given out every January. Talk about the girls that made the AD honor roll and what that means to your program.
I've had 13 girls on the team, and 10 out of the 13 made the athletic honor roll. So for us as a team, us as a coaching staff, we were very pleased with that. And out of the 10 that made the academic honor roll, I believe our lowest on that was, a 3.36 maybe. So very pleased with our girls that, even aim higher than what our team goal is.
And a little background on you, Pete. You've been at several Division I institutions. Talk about your coaching background before you got here at UIS.
Wow, that's a long story. Long time ago, my brother took me out to soccer field and we kicked the ball around. And since that day, I've had a passion for soccer. And so my first experience was winning a high school boys championship. And I was just sort of coming along and just helping out at practice as a college player, a local college player that was helping out a local guy who needed some help. And ever since that, the winning part, obviously, the aspect of winning and putting a collection of soccer players together and playing well, that was a long time ago. I won't date myself, but ever since that, they won that state tournament, I just got the bug. And then another local guy called me over to be an assistant coach for a Division III team, Kalamazoo College in Michigan. We were ranked top 10 in the country. I got the head job when the head coach left. We lost in the national quarterfinals, Division III, and our players just were it just proved to me that it's hard work, but it's passion, and it's a lot of fun to put a collection of people together and really accomplish something, even if you don't win a championship or win the league and so forth. I were fortunate to win league championships, and then I got a job at Maryland in the ACC. That was a wonderful experience for me to see and to coach in the top conference in the country. And then it just, University of Michigan as an assistant, Illinois State as a head coach, and lucky enough to get back towards my roots, which is Chicago, Illinois. I've known that recruiting base for so long that it was just a normal progression to come back to Illinois. Got into club coaching for a little while. Came here, Roger gave me the opportunity to coach here, and wonderful facilities here, and I think there's a lot of potential here, and I think in the future we can do some damage in the GLVC, and that's our goal.
And Angie, you're no stranger to the GLVC, playing at Quincy. Talk about your days at Quincy and how much the GLVC has changed in your few years that you've been away from Quincy.
Oh, way back in time. Yes, I went to Quincy, played volleyball there for 4 years. Had a great time. I enjoyed the GLVC. Very competitive, even back then, same as it is now. I think the change that kind of sticks out for me, when I played, it was primarily just a couple of teams that were at the top of the league year in and year out. It was always a dogfight for the people in the middle to get into the conference tournament, but I think now the past couple of years you kind of, of course there's a couple of teams that are powerhouses, but you see changes weekly throughout our conference as far as who's on top and who's in that fight. But the competition level still very high level. I just remember that even as a player, and was very excited to come in as a head coach into the league because I knew the environment that the GLVC creates.
And the GLVC, the ever-expanding conference. Talk about your thoughts on the expansion, going to William Jewell next year and the addition of McKendree here in a couple of years.
I'm the type that I just go with the flow. If the conference and the commissioner feel that it's best for the league to do that, then, I don't have any negative thoughts necessarily. I think with us being kind of in location-wise in the middle of the conference that, we're not really affected travel-wise or anything like that. So, I'm very excited about the division that we're actually in, and hopefully it'll pay off and we'll be in the conference tournament.
And what are your thoughts on the Big East of the Division II?
Yeah, I think I always like a single table. I think it's nice to see for our players and for the coaching staff to see all the teams in the league. We actually got that pass last fall, but I think with other teams coming into the league, I doubt that that's going to happen. I think we're going to end up with 2 divisions and double round robin or something in the end that I'm not going to be happy with. But like Angie said, I mean, we play the games that we're told to go and play, and we'll do the best that we can in all of them. McKendree will be strong. They've been they've been nationally known and nationally ranked and regionally known, and so they're going to be a very strong opponent when they come into the league. So, and they're in our recruiting area as well, and so that's a recruiting area that we need to get more players out of, and so that'll make it harder. But there are other teams like Lindenwood schools. Lindenwood, for example, they're leaving NAI going to Division II. So I don't know if that's a trend, but in the Midwest, there's a few schools leaving NAI like we did to go to Division II. So look forward to the competition, and it's like Angie said, it's just another challenge in front of us.
And Pete, your signing period was in February. Talk about the kid you signed to an NLI and your thoughts on her and what you expect. And follow-up question: is it always exciting when you sign a freshman? Your thoughts. Like, is she going to turn out to be the player that we really need?
Yeah, Kim is sort of a forward that I'm hoping that will take over for Casey Thorpe from last year. Casey Elmore, sorry, she just got married. But Kim's a type of player, and I saw her at a camp, and she's sort of a forward that can help us score goals. She's very technical, good with back to pressure. She's a kind of player that's going to, she's not going to exactly be like Casey's, with Casey's pace and things like that, but she is going to be someone that's going to complement, say, Erin Egolf and some of the other players that we have on our team that are going to help us score goals next year. So we really look forward to her. And I think Kim came to campus, I want to say unofficially a couple times and then officially once. So she really saw campus and really liked it. And I think for me as a coach here, I really want to bring players in that really like the campus, looking forward to getting education here, but really feel like they fit in here. So we have a 4-year commitment really, from someone that's really going to, dig their heels in academically and then really work really hard every day on the practice ground and help us in the game. So I'm looking forward to it. And I think, player from out of state, that's always a good thing. We're trying to broaden our horizons a little bit with our roster and not always have Illinois players on our team, which isn't bad, but just to kind of broaden the spectrum a little bit on our roster.
And St. Louis is a hotbed for soccer. Talk about your thoughts on the St. Louis area for being such a prime area for soccer.
Yeah, there's a lot of schools in between, McKendree being one of them, UMSL, Maryville, Lindenwood. There's a lot of schools down there, Division II NAI, Division I. So kids have a lot of choices. And so I've been trying to get into that area a little bit more. But yeah, there's no question. There's a lot of talent down there. And they're not that far away from here. So that is an area that I'd like to get more players out of. And, working every day to try and get them on campus or try and see more of them and see more of those events or see more of those games. In fact, I'm going down there in a couple weeks to go to a couple of tournaments just to kind of see some of the younger kids and try and take notes on the future and just do my best to try and get them excited about UIS. So.
And Angie, this fall you signed some athletes. Talk about your thoughts on your 4 that you signed this fall.
I think that they'll bring much needed depth to the team. I think they'll bring a lot of balance to the team. I signed 2 junior college transfers, 2 freshmen, all 4 solid players, that have been very highly competitive all their life, both in the sport of volleyball and some of them have been dual athletes. But I think they're going to bring that competitiveness to a little bit higher level for us, and like I said, much needed depth that we need for the team, and all 4 bring a lot of energy, which is what I like to see.
And you have actually a spring signing day, and that's going on this week, but I know you can't talk about the specifics because you haven't got the NLIs in. What is today like for you?
Oh, very exciting. So, and all of the, I will have additional girls signing. All of them were very excited. Today's, exciting for us in the sense that, this is the second signing date. So it kind of, for me, pretty much caps off our 2011 recruiting class. So once we get all of them to return their NLIs, I'll start focusing on 2012.
And since I wasn't here in the fall, I didn't see a lot of UIS volleyball.
Zero.
Zero, in fact. So what is your style of coaching for? Do you like to pressure on the defense, or do you just like to attack on the offensive side?
I probably am more on the defensive side. Probably because I was a defensive person. I think, defense can, I guess it could go either way. Some people would argue that offense is what's going to win ball games, but if you have a great defense, the other team can have the best offense in the world. And if you keep digging the ball up, then they're obviously not going to score any points on you. I think it's what the environment that you create with your student athletes. And like I said, for me, if you're hardcore on the defense, I think you build a solid program.
And a couple of years ago, the NCAA instituted to go to 25 points, down from 30, what it was the start of the 2000s or thereabouts. What is your thoughts on the scoring? And I know you played back in the day when you only went to 15.
Mm-hmm. And there was net serve and all that. I mean, there are a lot of changes. Same thing. Like I said, I kind of adapt to the different rules. I think, like the 25 point, just because I think that when you went to 30, the games just kind of seemed to drug out a lot. I think once, in the volleyball world, coaches, because we as coaches kind of talk about it, that once a team hits even 20, then, sometimes you have that battle back and forth if it's a close game, but really once you hit 20, it's almost whoever can hit that magic point. probably 95% of the time, they're the ones that walk away with the win. So like I said, I like the 25 point because I think when you add it, even though it is only 5 more points, it just seemed the game drug out quite a bit.
And I've heard some volleyball coaches, they don't like the 15 points for this 5th set. What's your thoughts on the 15 points on the 5th set?
I would agree. Same thing that, if they say we have to go to 15, but I'm kind of in with the coaches that I'd like to see the 5th game to go to 25 also. I mean, you play 4 games to 25, and now you reach the deciding game, and you only go to 15. Like I said, we really think that whoever hits that magic 20, more times than not really comes out the winner. So when you stop it at 15, I mean, it's just, I don't know, in some cases I don't feel like really maybe necessarily the best team did win. 15, I think it's just too fast in rally scoring.
And I want you to play Nostradamus for me, Pete. Your thoughts on next year?
I think we'll be deeper, and I think that was one of the goals for my class. I have a handful of recruited walk-on players that are going to be coming in, and we have some more that are coming in as well that I can't talk about. But I think increasing the depth on our team so that we're competing, or if we have an injury or two, we're replacing a player with a good player, and so I think it's totally possible for us to get one of those 6th, 7th, or 8th spots in the league and get into the league tournament. I know that's our players' goals if they were all standing here, and we've made that sort of one of our team goals is to go home over the summer and do what we need to do. I think, in fact, they also would agree that they didn't do some of the things they should have done over the summer. And in fact, it took us 5 or 6 games in the last fall, to get going, and including a couple of GLVC games that we were capable of winning. So I think this spring we went 5-0. We didn't play any GLVC teams, but we played a couple of teams of similar quality. And I think what our players learned is when we're together, we're fit, and we're playing for each other, we are capable of playing well. And so I think that really has helped me convince them that if they do what they need to do over the summer, fitness-wise, technical-wise, then start out of the gates a little bit faster in the fall, which is one of our main goals, then I think we can do some damage in the league. And I think after last fall, I don't think anybody's penciling us in as an easy win anymore. And so I think that's great for us to gain that respect quickly.
And the NCAA has instituted to you both and all Division II schools that the schedules be pushed back over Labor Day weekend instead of the last weekend of August. And Pete, you can answer this first. Does that hinder or help, or what are your thoughts on that from the NCAA?
Politically, I'll say that I'll kindly respect whatever I'm told to do. I think we obviously understand that these kids are student athletes, and Angie's right, academics comes first. I think at that time of the year, it's important for us to get their bodies physically prepared for competition, and the competition is fierce. Every game is a challenge, and so I think to some degree, when we lost that week of preseason last year, it really put an onus on our players to come in fit, and it didn't give us an opportunity to do some of the things that we wanted to do. It was almost like a McDonald's drive-through, let's get ready, meet each other, get our tactics down, and all of a sudden we're playing. As one of our freshmen said, wow, this is happening fast. So I wish that we had more time to prepare our players, not only physically, but gather them together as a team so they were more prepared for those first few games. So I'll do what I'm told, but politically, I wish that we had more time to prepare our players.
And as Pete just said, the freshman said it's moving fast. Do you wish you had more time with your freshmen?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think, what he just said, I'd have to agree with everything that he said, just because you feel rushed not having that extra week of preseason, and you just feel like all of a sudden, like, you have no time to prepare just because, I mean, it is summertime. I mean, they're college students that, you hope that they're disciplined enough to do something. I always tell them something is better than nothing, but, they're kids. So, hopefully we kind of build, though, from what we've established, from last fall this spring, going forth into next fall. And we were a very young team last year, and so the freshmen hopefully have kind of seen what we're all about, what the league's all about, understand that we're still under the time restraints that we had last year, and we'll stay in shape, do the things that they need to do over the summertime, so that we are successful when our first games begin. Because for us, I think soccer maybe goes into conference right away. We're lucky enough, at least, we have one free weekend, and it happens to be at the very beginning of the season, so we can get a few games in before we actually jump into conference.
And you guys are currently both in your non-varsity season, or your championship season, rather. How does that help you guys to start practicing in the spring and getting ready for the fall?
Well, because I think that, we're boom right out of the chute. The kids come back, have a week of preseason, then school starts. It feels like we've just started, and then all of a sudden the season is coming to an end. Springtime, is important for us because we get to spend a little bit more individual time first. At least with volleyball, we always do individual skill work first before we move into team practice. But it just, as a coaching staff, we're able to, hopefully push players along in their development and get them to reach a higher level in the spring.
And Pete, I see you guys out there when I drive up every morning. Talk about your thoughts on your spring.
Well, for us, the spring is a way to break things down, and as Angie said, kind of slow things down if we have to do something technical, or even if it's like this morning was tactical, but try and teach a little bit more so it's not so rushed. Slow things down. We're not in a hurry to get anywhere fast. We're not, we're done with our competitions now for the spring. So really it's just trying to teach something to build, there's building blocks for the fall. Like I constantly said this morning that, these are things that we're trying to do in the fall, and we've got to build on those blocks. And today is as much as important as the preseason is, or next fall's practice. We're just trying to build those blocks. And then when the new players come in, maybe you can, teach them what we're learning now a little bit faster, rather than me just trying to, tell them all the time. But really, the spring is great. It's a little bit more relaxed. It's non-championship. There isn't quite the pressure to win. Although when we do compete, obviously we want to win. But it's just a way to kind of, step back and kind of take a broader look at what we really need to look at, and then focus in on one or two things that we really need to work on and get better at.
And Angie, I want you to start talking about your 2011 season, and you start Labor Day weekend down in San Antonio. Your thoughts on 2011, and what your goals are for 2011?
Very excited, like you said. We will start down in San Antonio, St. Mary's tournament, and we're excited to go on a trip like that. But again, like I said, for us, it's allowing us to get some games in before we actually jump right into conference. I'm very excited about next season. Like I said, we had a very young class this for 2010. We competed very well with the teams in the GLVC, I felt, this year, but we're hoping to expand on that and actually put games away for wins. And I think the girls that we've got coming in, I'll have a balance of, some freshmen, but like I said, we'll also have a group of transfers that will provide us with the experience that we also need. Goals for us, we want to win. We want, our big thing for us on the athletic side is that we want to be one of those teams that's in the conference. So that's probably our big goal, and ultimately we'd like to win it. But we want to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a position so that we are a competitor in the conference tournament. And on the academic side, it's something that Pete and I were just joking about it the other day, but academically, we still set our goals for that too, and it's something, like I said before, each semester we want to improve on our GPA from the previous semester. So,
is that the GPA thing? Is that something you sit down with your returners and say, hey, let's go for a 3.5 team GPA or whatever it is, or do you just decide?
I think as a coaching staff, it's something that, we kind of look at and decide ourselves, that we challenge the girls more or less to, here's what we think that you guys could be at. So we kind of challenge them in that sense. So.
And Pete, we talked a little bit about 2011 for you. Your schedule, you play 2 exhibitions, and it's right into conference play. There's not a lot of wiggle room for you.
No, but our players understand that, and they've grown accustomed to that kind of schedule. I think, again, the way our schedule goes is we go right into the season, but I think what we talked about our spring season, we've talked about that already, and we said if you go home over the summer and do this, this, and that, you're going to come back ready to go. And then we're just sort of, tweaking and twisting a little bit rather than trying to, make major changes or do major things. So I think as Angie said with her team, our team is relatively young still, even though our program will be in its 4th year. We're still relatively young, but they now know what the level is like in our league, and I think they're ready. I mean, I think they were so close. Those 6 one-goal loss games last year really, not every day, and it doesn't eat at them every day like it does for me, for example, but I think they do remember that, and I think our players will be much more prepared for the fall and be ready to go when that first GLVC game starts.
All right, I want to thank you, Angie and Pete, for joining me on the UIS Prairie Stars Coaches Show. I'm Tony Black. Go Stars.